When a woman looks at you, or even better, when she makes eye contact with you, it doesn't necessarily mean that she likes you. Now, the problem is that most men react completely wrong when that happens. Either they nervously look away, or they try to establish dominance and just hold eye contact, because in no case they want to be the first one to look away and break eye contact. Now let's take a look at why it's so bad when you react that way, and then we're going to have a look at how you should react instead in order to leverage that situation that's already happening to your benefit. Okay, reaction one, you're the guy who nervously looks away. Usually that happens because you feel like you got caught. The girl looks over, you're like, oh damn, she notices that I was looking over, and then you look away and you don't really know what to do, and it's almost like you're going to start looking around, look at something else, so it really looks like you were just accidentally looking at her. That's the worst way you can react. Literally, especially if you feel like you got caught, just own it. It's not a big deal. You're allowed to look at things that you find beautiful, things that you find attractive, just like you would look at a piece of art in a museum. Now, of course, it's a completely different story if you're staring at a woman, but looking at something and staring at her with intent for extended periods of time, that's two completely different things. Of course, never stare at somebody. I hope I don't need to say that. The second way I see a lot of men react, that's something that I see especially from men that have already consumed a lot of, I need to be more dominant and more masculine type of content. What I see from them quite often is this attempt to dominate the woman. I have to just hold eye contact and be the last one to break eye contact by any means, because otherwise she's just going to see me as a poor soy boy, beta boy, whatever type of expression they use in their mind. Well, I like the idea, right? You're thinking, well, she saw me look at her, might as well use it and keep looking at her. The problem is that the moment it comes across as try hard, the moment she can feel that you're holding eye contact just so you're the last one to break eye contact, is just going to be try hard. It's just going to be somebody that has to prove that he's confident. And if you have to prove that you're confident, guess what? That means that you're most likely not actually confident. And women, they're just fucking great at feeling these things out from other guys, from anybody in society. They can just sense these things like a third eye. So rather than overcompensating when you get caught, let's talk about what you should be doing instead. First, I want to clarify a couple things because I believe that they are very important just to clarify in this context. The first thing we need to clarify is that women want to meet attractive men. Now, they maybe don't want to meet everybody, but guess why they're dressing up? Guess why they're sometimes sitting in places by themselves? They are open to meeting somebody that they find attractive. They're not open to meeting every random person, and to be honest, they're not interested in meeting 99% of the guys that will come her way. But if the right guy came at the right time, for sure they'd be interested in meeting them. That's the first thing we need to clarify. Women are generally open to meeting somebody that they find attractive. The second thing we need to clarify is that women are absolutely horrible. They're horrible at giving signals. They believe that they're great at doing it, right? When you ask women what's their biggest thing with dating that they struggle with, they will always say, men are so bad at understanding the signals I show them. They just don't get it. But the reality is they're just horrible at giving signals. They will sit there and make eye contact with you for a second, and then they think that every guy just gets that they're interested. So be aware that women are horrible at giving signals when they're interested. And the third thing you need to realize is that women will never make the first move. The proof for that is Bumble, the dating app. Even on these apps, they are designed for women to make the first move. What do most women do? They will send a hi, and then men get angry because they think, oh, women are so bad at making the first move. No, that's not the first move. That's just giving you permission that you now may make the actual first move, just because they are so horrible at doing it. Now that we've established this, what are we going to do with this information? The basic rule and premise that I follow is that when a girl looks at me and I find her attractive, I'm just gonna go over and talk to her. I might not do it right away, but I will eventually do it. There's no way around it. This is the rule that I established for myself. And if that's a rule that you can establish for yourself, I would just do that. However, some people need a little more reassurance. You want a bit more certainty that she actually likes you. Here's the exact step-by-step process that I would use in that case. And by doing that a couple times, you'll actually get a lot better at reading women, understanding when they like you and when they don't like you. And it will become easier for you to just judge right the first moment she looks over whether she likes you and to just go over. So let me walk you through the process. You're walking into a cafe, a girl looks over to you. You look at her. First thing I want you to do is, rather than just holding eye contact and staring her down, or rather than just look away, I want you to just hold eye contact and smile. Hold eye contact for a second or two. You don't need to hold eye contact longer than her. Just do whatever feels natural and then go about your way. Now look, a little hack that I actually like to use when I'm with friends is that I will just sit down and I will not even look over to the girl anymore. I will just tell my friends to let me know if they notice that the girl is looking over to me repeatedly, because then I know that she was looking at me without being the guy who's constantly nervously looking over to see if she makes eye contact or not. It's a hack. It's a tool you can use when you're with somebody. When you're by yourself, you'll just have to figure it out. Sit in a way where you can actually reestablish eye contact. And look, the truth is, if you're in that situation, if you've made initial eye contact, you've smiled at her, and she keeps looking over, if you're now not approaching, even though you find her attractive, what can I say? You're just going to lose out on a situation that was essentially laid in front of you by destiny. One of the two main reasons I wanted to get good at this is because I wanted to be ready whenever I'm in that situation where I actually see somebody that I find extremely attractive, which by the way happens super rarely, maybe once a month for me, that I see somebody that I find really physically attractive, somebody that's really my type. I wanted to be ready when I see a girl like that and I notice that she also likes me. I wanted to be able to walk up and initiate the conversation. That's why I wanted to get good at this stuff. And there was a situation where when I just started this whole dating journey, I went into a kebab store, I had lunch, and there was a girl sitting outside with her friend and we kept making eye contact just as I described. I smiled at her, I was eating, listening to some music, and we made eye contact 2 or 3 times, and then she got up and I ran after her and got her number. And I don't want to go into too much detail, but that was a great first step that I did back then. I was so happy that I had learned to do that. And that's exactly the situations that I wanted to learn this for. These few instances of seeing somebody I really like, having the ability to go over, initiate an interaction, get her number and make something happen. That's what it's all about. That's what it's always been about for me. Now, one question that many men ask themselves is, what should you do if she's not looking over, if she's not making eye contact? Well, what you'll see a lot of people tell you is that when a woman is not making eye contact, it essentially means that she's not interested, she's not looking to be approached, and you just shouldn't go over and talk to her. But I completely disagree with this. You're always entitled to make an approach. You're always entitled to go over and introduce yourself. Just as much as she's entitled to tell you that she's not interested, to tell you that she's dating somebody, that she's married, or that she doesn't find you attractive, which honestly, in some countries, that's what women do. They will just tell you, sorry, you're not my type. And that's fine. But just as much as they're entitled to reject you, you're entitled to go over and do the approach. Make an opening move just to see where it happens. It doesn't have to lead to anything. Maybe you start talking to her, you talk to her for 30 seconds and realize that you really don't like her. That can happen, right? But you'll never know unless you initiate the conversation. So my rule of thumb is, sure, ideally I make eye contact with her, but if I see a girl I really like, which again happens very rarely, but if I see a girl like that, I will go over and strike up a conversation just to see if we have a vibe. Because if we do have a vibe, which will happen even rarer, you meet a girl, you see her, you find her attractive, you go over and it turns out you have a vibe, there's pretty much probably nothing that really matches that. For me, nothing else that matches that situation. Now, I want to wrap up this video by telling you why I believe that women looking over to you is such a strong indicator that they're interested. Now look, the reason I like to initiate an interaction with a girl that I find attractive, even when she doesn't make eye contact, is that women oftentimes won't make eye contact with anyone. They just walk around, especially when they're by themselves, just looking at the floor because they're worried about being approached by somebody that they don't like, that they then have to reject. Again, they are worried about being approached by somebody they don't like. It doesn't mean that you're not entitled to approach them. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't approach them, because ideally you are somebody they find attractive and they're happy for you to approach them. But they are worried about being approached and then having to reject that person. That's why they're not looking at everyone when they're walking around. They're oftentimes looking at the floor. You'll actually see girls walking with their boyfriends, girls walking around in a group will make a lot more eye contact and be a lot more happy to look around, because they know that 99% of the guys will never say anything, even if she makes prolonged eye contact with them. That is also why girls in groups will often be a lot more obvious about giving signals than girls that are by themselves. That said, let's wrap up this video. If you see a girl you like, a girl you find attractive that makes eye contact with you, go and talk to her. And if you're struggling with doing this, if you don't know what to say, if you don't know how to go about it, if you don't know how to make her interested once you started the interaction, send me a DM on Instagram. Let's figure out how to get you to the level you want to be at. And that said, I'll talk to you in one of my next videos.